Right. So in this kind of final portion of the presentation, I'm going into really now the crux of what's going on and how we're able to be confident about our outlook and our capabilities within the cryptocurrency world, and also Bitcoin in particular. So compound interest, as I was saying, the eighth wonder of the world, and according to Albert Einstein, and the rocket ship that represents both the rise and the prominence and the um, the aggressiveness of bitcoins and its price, and what we have to become as well, or at least the vehicle that we have to acquire must also be able to have that kind of pace and aggressiveness, if we are ever going to catch up, and if we're ever going to build wealth, which is the whole point, which is why we're here, to build wealth so that we can look after our families, and we can begin to live a different kind of life than the one we might be living right now. So what is compound interest? Compound interest is the addition of interest to the principal sum of a loan or deposit, or in other words, interest on interest. It is the result of reinvesting interest rather than paying it out or cashing it out, so that interest in the next period is then earned on the capital sum plus previously accumulated interest. So this is fundamental to understand. Typically, when people look at interest and look at compounding and hear about compounding, they'll say to you, start investing when you're, let's say, 25 or 30, and then every year, let's say, you'll earn, according to the very puny returns that are offered by the banks and other phony institutions. They'll say you will earn about 6, 7, 8% interest per annum. And then if you reinvest that, by the time you are 40, so every year you earn 9%, and by the time you're 40, maybe then you will have accumulated something like 600,000, because even over a long scale, which is not what we're looking for, but even over a long time period, compounding interest remains compounding interest. So you can invest, let's say, $2, $3, $4, $5, $600 a month for the next 20 years, and then you will have earned a ridiculous amount of money, hopefully, according to the banks. But what happens if the period that they speak about in the second chapter, interest in the next period is earned on the principal plus previously accumulated interest? What if those periods are not a year, or are not 6 months, or are not even 3 months? But what if we can shorten the time between periods, and therefore make the compounding of the interest a lot more aggressive? Think about pistons. You can have pistons that turn at a certain rate, or you can have if you look at the rotors of a helicopter, it's turning at a rate that is so powerful that it cuts through air, and you can feel a helicopter flying by you. You will actually feel it in your bones. And so this is what we've come across, is a way to earn interest on a capital sum which we invest, but that interest is not only significant in its percentage, but it also occurs over a very aggressive shortened time frame, and therefore we can compound day on day or week on week because of the technology, because of the tools that are out there, which allows us in a period of a few months to do what that curve is doing, to go from a relatively small amount, and then it begins to pick up pace, and all of a sudden it acts almost like a rocket in the sense of the power that it can displace. Here again, you can see the blue line. Here's how we do it. The blue line, and it starts in April, and by July already you've overtaken most of conventional traditional investments, simply because you're able to compound, as you will see, on a day-to-day, and then on a week-to-week basis, and then on a month-to-month basis, and that compounding just becomes outrageous. And so here it is. What if you could earn 14% weekly compounded returns on your investment? Let's look into this. So what we're saying is that we have become gatekeepers to a unique investment platform providing unmatched returns through legitimate binary, forex, and commodity trading services. Now, I will tell you off the bat, I know nothing about binary trading. I know nothing about forex trading, and I know nothing about commodities trading. What I do know about forex trading, which I discovered, is that the forex markets, the market of currencies and currency exchanges, is a 5 trillion transaction a day market. If you compare that to the New York Stock Exchange, the Tokyo Stock Exchange, and the London Stock Exchange, which are about 22 billion transactions, $18 billion worth of transactions, and $7 billion worth of transactions, they are like children with standing next to a giant, and so it was shocking to me to realize that there is a parallel world in which some people who are knowledgeable about this, I am not one of them yet, but there's a parallel world in which there is unbelievable money to be made. They were saying that if you think about a huge lake or a huge sea, and then you have, no, rather a sea, and then you take like a swimming pool, and then you take like a small lake. The sea is the forex markets, and the small lake is basically what we've come to almost praise like deities, which is the stock market, which is also something that I don't understand. But basically what we're saying is that there is a parallel world in which people who are knowledgeable are able to make phenomenal returns. And so what are we saying? We're saying that we have found in one of the vehicles, but these vehicles, now I'm realizing that they are more common than I realized when I first discovered them. As the vehicle I'm showing you is based out of the US. There's another vehicle that I'm also using that is based out of South Africa, and there are other vehicles out there in which traders, which have tools and understand these markets, are able to make such returns that what they have said is that if you invest your money with us and with our team, we know and we can guarantee that we are able to return to you out of the ordinary returns. And so here we're talking about 14% weekly or 2% daily. And if it sounds too good to be true, that's good, because it sounded too good to be true to me as well. And this is why I put together this presentation, so I can unpack it. But what they're saying, master trader Stephen Twain and his team, is that they will secure us access to 14% weekly returns from as little as $1,000 invested with them. $1,000 is the minimum people can invest. And every week they're saying you will get 14% on that capital, if you remember the definition of those compound interest. And what we're able to do then is to reinvest, because this happens on a weekly basis, that we get paid, and we get paid in bitcoins, as you'll see now. We invest in bitcoins and we get paid in bitcoins. But every Monday, when our wallets receive the payments in bitcoins, if you reinvest that 14%, now you're compounding the interest from that Monday on your capital sum and any previous interest. So let's say that you are on week 3 and you're receiving 14%, you're receiving 14% that you're reinvesting on the interest that you gained on week 2 and the interest that you gained on week 1 and on the capital sum invested. And so that begins the process of compounding, which is a bit like a chemical or like a nuclear reaction, if you will, and it's able to provide for you astronomical returns. There's also extra returns that are paid out as referral commissions, only for those who are interested in referring this opportunity. So this is not an opportunity that you have to refer. I do not have to be making this presentation for anyone for me to be able to compound my weekly returns, but it does unlock other levels. And if you put yourself in the shoes of the the traders, how do they get as many people as possible to invest with them so that the returns can be even greater? If you think about South Africa alone, at the time I'm making this presentation, still in November, coming towards the end of November, there are close to 3,000 South Africans who, since the month more or less of March, April, when this came about here, have invested a minimum of $1,000 with these traders, to such an extent that there is now close to $10 million that have been invested in a period of about 6-7 months. And so finally I say here that deposits are made in Bitcoins, and it's instantaneous. You can be in Durban and make a Bitcoin transfer to the wallet of these traders, and it happens instantaneously in such a way that you begin to see your returns in the back office from the next day. Or you can be sitting in Singapore, and you can still make an instantaneous Bitcoin transfer to these traders. And so this is also a very close-knit community or club, and an invitation from an existing member is required to get access to this platform. This is why I say that we have become gatekeepers, because we are the ones that allow other people to come in. And so, sounds too good to be true? Hang with me and let's unpack it further. Here's another video that I will add to the package that you're now in possession of, and it's a very important video as well, because this is from the